Okay, so before I completely close the book on Rick Riordan to go on to the Hunger Games for just probably 2 weeks, because I want to talk about the Trials of Apollo so much, but speaking of prophecies, I was working on another video for you guys. It's the top 11 side characters that I kind of want to have their own story. So their own book, their own series. I'm flexible. Authors out there, I'm flexible. I just want to see their story be told. And little spoiler for that video when it comes up is that one of them is Jason. I do want to see the first series from Jason's point of view. And honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to see it. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So why do I want to see Jason have this so much more than I actually originally thought? Well, originally I was more curious to see how the Romans dealt with things, and honestly I was a little okay with not having that because that would mean we'd have to deal with Octavian. I don't know if I could handle 5 books of that guy. I could barely handle 3. Well, 4. Give or take. But you get the idea. Even when he wasn't present, they were just seeing flashbacks and dreams. You still hated him with a burning passion. So I'm still not sure if I want to see, him coming back. Anyway, so long story short, my brain being too fast, I started thinking about the prophecies as I was thinking about this series. And I remembered that in the Son of Neptune, they did bring up a half-blood of the eldest god shall reach 16 against all odds. Ella was the one to bring that up in this book. And she knew that prophecy because she read a Roman scroll. Why? So tell me, why would the Romans have a Greek prophecy? We know that the prophecy about that whole prophecy with Cronus and, Luke being the one with the cursed blade that's Annabeth's blade, and Percy, all happening on Percy's birthday because he's a half-blood of the eldest gods. And, even, saying half-blood of the eldest gods does kind of mess with it from a mythology standpoint, because technically they're the youngest, but they went by who got barfed up first, but whatever. So that got me thinking, if the Romans had that prophecy, what if there's a Roman version of that prophecy? Because Jason would fit that prophecy fairly well. Let's see, a half-blood of the eldest god shall reach 16 against all odds. In The Lost Hero, when he meets Thalia, he says, "You're like my age," to her. We know that Thalia is 16 because, technically 15, but virtually 16 because she turned 16 the day after she became a Hunter of Artemis. But because she became a Hunter of Artemis, she was frozen in time and she will forever be one day away from being 16. Time loopholes are weird. Because, technically Nico and Bianca would have been there if they hadn't gone in the weird time warp thing that physically didn't make them 16. And then Thalia physically wasn't going to be 16, but technically she is 16. So I guess the prophecy should really be a half-blood of the eldest god shall physically reach 16 against all odds. Because clearly we've already reached 16 technically with the other ones, but besides the point, by him saying that, it implies that he is actually 16. And if you go online and type in, how old is Thalia Grace, because I did go and double check this, it actually says that she's about 16 or 17. So I'm assuming that Jason's not 17. And it's more likely that she would appear 16. So Jason would fit the prophecy. And the prophecy never says that all of this stuff has to go down on this one person's birthday. And interestingly enough, Percy did reach 16 after the entire prophecy was fulfilled. Just saying, by technical standards, he did reach 16 after the entire prophecy was fulfilled, for the most part. So, because Jason could fit that prophecy, and the rest of it is so vague, and see the world in endless sleep. A hero's soul, cursed blade shall reap, a single choice shall end his days, Olympus to preserve or raise. Okay, well that last one's not vague because we know that Olympus was preserved. I mean, this all happened. So, it's safe to say that Olympus was preserved. And so that is very vague. And we know that the Romans were the ones to go off and destroy the Titan base. Because, you know, they were just like, oh, it crumbled after everything happened. But really, they went off and they, like, destroyed it. The Romans were the ones to destroy it. They were on the offense while the Greeks were on the defense. That's how it worked. And if you're going to be if you're wondering if this is true for all of the prophecies, it technically can. Let's take a look at all the other prophecies, shall we? So, I got a little cheat sheet here. I'm not going to show you my cheat sheet yet because it's pretty awesome, and I'm going to wait till the Trials of Apollo to show you. So, you don't know. But let's go with the first prophecy. You shall go west and face the god who has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely return. You shall be destroyed by one who calls you friend and fail to save what matters most in the end. Okay. Now, let's talk strategy. All you Athena kids are probably loving me right now because we're going to talk some strategy. If you are Cronus, imagine that you're Cronus for a second. Weird, but okay, just imagine that you're Cronus for a second. Now, you have Percy being the son of Poseidon. And then you also have Rome, in Rome, Jason being the son of Jupiter. So, with Percy, you know you want to frame him for taking Zeus's master bolt. But you want to be sure that Zeus isn't going to blame Hades. Because remember, Nico and Bianca never got to camp and kind of just vanished from the face of the earth. Zeus would definitely take that logical leap to say that Hades had either Nico or Bianca take it. Actually, it'd be a higher probability that Zeus would be like, dude, your kids took it because one kid, two kids, who's more likely to do that? So to prevent that, he also had Hades' helm stolen. Do you see where I'm going with this? He had two powerful weapons stolen in the Greek world. Because remember, it's just split personality thing going on here. So he had two stolen in the Greek world framed by one person to make sure that they both and everybody pointed fingers at them to try to start a civil war. Well, what about the Roman side? Because I'm assuming Cronus is not that dumb. He knows that there are Romans. He's probably well aware that there are Romans. He might even be better at controlling that whole split personality thing. We saw the giants being fine with it. We saw various titans also being fine with it. It's just different names. So, if you have two of the three most powerful weapons in the world kind of on their way to you, wouldn't you kind of want that third one too? Makes your chances a bit better. So I'm saying that what if, because of this prophecy, it's so vague, what if Cronus did think of that and framed Jason for taking Neptune's trident? That way the Greeks still believed that the trident was there because it was Poseidon. So he wouldn't remember anything that happened to Neptune. But the Romans, and Jason being the only Roman child of the eldest gods, and I'm including like all the weirdness that was going on there, would be the most likely candidate for Neptune to point a finger at and be like, you're the one who took my trident. And while at the same time, Zeus and Hades are pointing at Percy going, you stole my weapon of power. Sounds like a pretty smart and logical plan, and a pretty good way to keep both Rome and I almost said Egypt, and a pretty good way to keep both Rome and the Greeks busy. So, okay, so that's one prophecy, and that's just one strategy, because we know how great we are at predicting Rick Riordan's plots. We have like 15 different predictions, and none of them are right, but they're all plausible. But let's go to the next one. You shall sail You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek and make it your own. But despair you for your life, entombed within stone, and fail without friends to fly home alone. Jason's got the flying part covered. I'm just saying, he really does have the flying part covered. But would you really be that surprised if, once again, Cronus / Saturn was trying to sabotage the Romans? Because the Romans clearly knew that something was up here, okay? They clearly knew that something was up, something was going on. And so the Romans clearly knew that something was up, something was going on with Saturn / Cronus. If you're Greek, Roman, pick your name. I'm going to keep saying Cronus. So would you be that surprised that they would have to go find something? And sailing on an iron ship, that sounds like something that would not actually happen for the Romans, yes. But if they had to, they would. And it could also probably explain why they just have a little rowboat. Just saying, they could have just like already used the big ship and then Percy and Frank and Hazel got the little rowboat. But again, both of those prophecies are very vague. It never says specifically what's going to happen. It never specifically refers to the side of Greek or Roman. It's incredibly vague, and we all know that prophecies are incredibly vague. Let's go to the fourth one. You shall delve in the darkness of an endless maze, the traitor, the dead, and the lost one raised. You shall rise or fall by the ghost king's hand, the child of Athena's final stand, destroyed with the hero's final breath, and lost a love to a face, and lose a love to a faith worse than death. Once again, Cronus. All these prophecies are about Cronus. And Percy does make note that Cronus was not there when they attacked Camp Half-Blood. He wasn't there. He made a point to say that Cronus was not there. He didn't see Luke at all. And Cronus, not being there, he could have gone to attack the Roman camp. If the maze is huge, we know that. I mean, quick spoiler for the Trials of Apollo, they get to Delphi, or Delphi. I'm gonna say Delphi until somebody tells me that it's Delphi, because I just feel like it should be said Delphi. I don't know why. But they got all the way to Delphi. Getting all the way to Camp Jupiter? Pfft, no problem. Come on. That's like so much easier to do. And I believe they actually do it at some points. They just pop up all over the country. Popped up in Texas. They popped up in, well, New York a lot. They just kept popping up all over the place now, didn't they? And I know what you're going to say. What about the child of Athena's final stand? The Romans aren't stupid. They know that Douglas would have been a child of Athena because he was born in the Greek time and he was in Greece. And clearly, they know that there are Greeks out there. This prophecy could have actually revamped that suspicion even more, especially for Octavian. Because think about it, if you're suspicious about something, after a while, it starts to go down, doesn't it? You slowly start to be like, well, it hasn't happened yet, there's no more evidence, and you slowly begin to die down. But then if something happens, it just revigorates all that suspicion again. Knowing that Douglas was the one to create the maze and was the one controlling the maze and even destroyed the maze could have just, was probably enough to revamp their suspicions to the point where they're all like insanely suspicious about it and probably even believe it more. And that would have lasted for a year until it again began to die down. And now I know what you're going to say. What about Nico? Yeah, the whole you shall rise or fall by the Ghost King's hand. That is a little hard to explain until you consider when Nico would have found out about the Romans. If you think about it, he knew about the Romans before he brought Hazel there. And Hazel got there about the time that the Titan War was going on. And Nico even admits in The Last Olympian that he was in California looking into some family matters. Why would he go to California when he's from Italy? Following a lead? His sister his other sister, Hazel. It makes sense, and Nico was down in the maze for a long time. It would definitely make sense that they probably wouldn't have guessed. They probably would have just assumed that he was the Ghost King, being the son of Pluto, Hades. Again, if you're Greek or Roman, take your pick. But they would assume that he was the son of Hades, and as the son of Hades, he would be the Ghost King. So it's not that much of a jump to assume that while Nico was down there alone, he did run into some Romans, help them out. Remember, he did get captured by Cronus. We don't know how, we don't know why. We assume that he was just found wandering the maze. Okay, Nico's not that dumb. Even as that, little kid, I don't think he's that dumb. But if he was helping some Romans escape, makes a little more sense now, doesn't it? So, okay, let's use some logic again here. Now, what just seems more logical? Hades going, hey, Nico, I want to show you something. Come on, here's the Roman camp. Or Nico going, hey Dad, while I was in the maze, I ran into these guys who said that they were from Camp Jupiter. Care to explain? They claimed that they were Roman. And then Hades going, okay, come on, I guess I have to show you now. You didn't tell anybody this, right? Okay, good, let's go. Which one's more likely? I'm gonna have to go with Nico going to Hades on that one, because seriously, the gods being that helpful. And Nico even admits it. Most of the time, Hades, isn't as direct as he was in the Blood of Olympus. He even admits it! So it does seem more likely. And, again, the maze is huge. And where was Cronus during this whole time? See, there are a lot of questions that can be answered with the other side, and these prophecies can work. Now notice that I skipped over the Titan's Curse, so you might already be saying, you skipped over the Titan's Curse. I know I did. Don't be telling me otherwise, so get out of the comments right now, get back up here and listen. Listen to the prophecy for the Titan's Curse. 5 shall go west to the goddess in chains, 1 shall be lost in the land without rain. The bane of Olympus shows the trail, campers and hunters combined prevail. The Titan's curse must one withstand, and 1 shall perish by a parent's hand. Now you're probably yelling, campers and hunters, that automatically means that it cannot be Camp Jupiter, because it technically would be campers and Amazons. Unless, I guess, I don't know, they don't know about the hunters. The Romans don't know about the hunters. So automatically that would mean that, and you shall go west to the goddess in chains. They don't know that Artemis is gone, do they? And they're already west, so a little pointless, just a little. But until you consider how this prophecy was given, no one asked the oracle the question. The oracle got up, went to find Zoe Nightshade, and gave her the prophecy. Yeah, that never happens. And they even admitted that that never happens. So that means the Romans would not have this prophecy. And also, it's very specific. Very specific. Talking about people who die. A couple people who die. Saying that it has to be campers and hunters combined. Saying exactly where to go. Even right down to, a description of what she is. She is kind of in chains. Sort of. Holding up the sky. Kind of. And again, let's bring in some logic here. Does Apollo really seem like the type of brother to be like, huh, my sister's missing. Oh well. Or does he seem like the type of brother to be like, wait, my sister's missing? I gotta send it west. Which seems like the more Apollo? Which one? The one who would just ignore it, or the one who would be like, my sister's missing. I don't care how much I fight with her. My sister's missing. We need to get a quest on this. I'm getting a prophecy. Oracle. It would make sense now, wouldn't it? And also, again, let's think about Apollo. If he could get away with doing one prophecy and giving it to both the Greeks and Romans, don't you think he would? Or if maybe his other Apollo, the Roman Apollo, was just like, that's a really good prophecy. I'm going to give it to the Romans as well. And then the Greek Apollo was like, that is a really good prophecy. I'm going to give it to the Greeks as well. Yeah, that seems like him. Be like, that is genius, and give it to both of them. So, based on everything that I've told you so far, I want to know, do you think that that when they say prophecies have many meanings, one of those meanings is a Roman meaning? Do you think that each prophecy has a Greek and Roman outcome? Let me know. And who knows, maybe one day Rick Riordan will say, let's make the Roman side of of the Titan War, and we'll get our answer. It seems like a very good possibility, especially if the Romans had it. I'm convinced. I'm very fascinated by this. Like, if I ever meet Rick Riordan, I'm gonna ask him that. So tell me what you think. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's not possible? Is there any evidence I'm overlooking, or any logical leaps that I'm forgetting to include here or to explain? Let me know, and I'll let you guys know soon. And now we can go on to the Hunger Games. Yeah, there's not gonna be that many videos. And I don't really have the book. I borrowed them all from a friend. So I can't show you the book. Oh well. Sorry. So let me know in the comments down below, and thanks for watching. Bye!